Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott. You're in the Prog Corner, and today, you see that big old empty hole? We're going through the C's today. And yeah, just keep in mind, y'all, this is my third collection, right? So I know there's a lot of things missing. I had a collection when I was a kid and a teenager, and then my parents moved on to a sailboat, so I had to get rid of all that vinyl. And then as an adult, I built up a really nice, chunky, like 15,000 piece collection. And then I got locked up and all that's gone. So this is my third collection. So cut me a little bit of slack. We're going to start right now with a band that I absolutely adore. Not prog, but definitely awesome. And it's Cake. And I've got 4 of their albums. I've got their second album, Fashion Nugget. Their third album, Prolonging the Magic. Their fourth album, Comfort Eagle, and their fifth album, Pressure Chief. I don't have their first album, and I don't have their sixth album, but I don't know if I need them because those 4 are the ones that I absolutely adore. Next up from Norway, it's Caliganaut. Oh, yeah, Michael Ole's first album as Caliganaut. He's working on a second album as we speak, and I'm excited because that album's great. Next up, let's talk a little bit about Camel. I've got Mirage. Yeah, the cigarette pack cover. The Snow Goose. I've got 2 different versions of Moon Madness. The terrible astronaut one, which is just awful. So I had to, of course, get the real one. Why they would do that, I have no idea. And then I've got Breathless. So I have a few holes in my Camel collection I need to plug. Next up from Italy, it's Campo di Marte. Oh, look at that album cover, man. What an amazing album. What a great, great album cover. I love Italian prog, and that's one of my favorites. Next up, how about Can? Yeah, I need more Can. I need Ege Bamiami, and I need... monster movies and soundtracks and all that stuff. Future Days. I started with Tago Mago, so when I, decided I'd need to get some Can, that obviously would be my first selection because I love it. Ditto with Captain Beefheart. I had all his albums and I lost them, so I had to restart, and you got to start with Trout Mask Replica. You just do. Just amazing. Produced by Frank Zappa. It's such a great album. It's a masterpiece. How about not Captain and Tennille, but how about Captain Beyond? The first album. I need the second album real bad. I love this thing. Such a great, great album. Dancing madly backwards. Classic track. Just phenomenal. Next up, I got a couple Caravans. In the Land of the Gray and the Pink. The classic one, and then the follow-up for Girls That Go Plump in the Night. Real, real good. I need to get the rest of my Caravan game in order. I love Caravan. Next up, how about a Christmas album from Mariah Carey? Yeah, my wife bought it. Next up, Walter/Wendy Carlos switched on Bach when I did my Origins of Prague episode a few weeks ago. I omitted this album, and I really should not have because I know both Keith Emerson and Rick Wakeman listened to this album extensively and took notes, so should have been on there. My bad. Next up, Carmen Fandango's in Space. Flamenco Prague. Yeah, why not? It's awesome. And you get John Glasscock on here before he joined Jethro Tull. From France, Carpe Diem's first album, entitled En Regardant Passer les Temps. I have their second album on CD. I definitely need to get vinyl. I messed up. I thought I was ordering the vinyl and then a CD pops up. I'm like, I'm an idiot. How did I do that? That was dumb. Next up from Boston, I love the Cars, man. The first Cars album, just phenomenal, man. When I first heard it, it really got me going. I even like the second album better. But for a prog guy, you may prefer Panorama. Their third album's got a little more proggy tendencies to it. And why not Greg Hawkes is a prog guy, man. He even got a songwriting credit on the second Happy the Man album. Why not? Another prog band out of the U.S. It's Cathedral with Stained Class Stories. This is the Greg Walker reissue. Your boy can't afford the original. Those things are going for a fortune. Next up, from Illinois, from the Chicago area, it's Cheap Trick. Oh, man. I love Cheap Trick. Their debut album, just dynamite. Absolutely phenomenal. Probably the best thing they ever did. They followed it up with In Color. These songs are great, but the production is terrible. So Steve Albini reproduced this like 20 years later, and most of these songs ended up on that Live on Budokan, and they sounded so much better. I don't know what happened, man. I don't know what happened. That was definitely a missed opportunity, but they did not miss the mark on their third album, Heaven Tonight. Absolutely perfect. Every song's great. Absolutely love it. Then they dropped their live album, made them big old superstars. Why not? The Dream Police, really feeling the Beatles influences here. So they follow that up with an album produced by George Martin, All Shook Up. Sure, why not? Next up was One on One, produced by Roy Thomas Baker. And then they keep the great producer run going with Todd Rundgren producing Next Position Please. I love this album. This album's great. I don't care what anybody says. And the label made him put a single on here that Todd hated, Dancing the Night Away. It's still a great song. Next up, how about a couple comedy albums? Yeah, I love Cheech and Chong, I do. Blind Melon Chitlin. Oh, I think he's going to show you, JR. Oh, man. I love this album so much. Growing up as a kid, I listened to this thing nonstop. Just phenomenal. Oops. Oops, I wasn't supposed to do that. And then I got Cheech and Chong, Los Cochinos, love it. Big Bamboo, had the big old rolling paper in there. Cheech and Chong's Wedding album, probably the best thing they ever did, just hilarious. Everything on here is just phenomenally funny. Okay, next up, let's stay in Chicago, shall we? And talk about Chicago. Yeah, Chicago Transit Authority, 1969, double album, incredible. Their second album, double album, incredible. Their third album, double album, incredible. Sing a Mean Tune Kid, oh man, so good. Their fourth album was a quadruple album live at Carnegie Hall, which I have not been able to find a good copy of. Every time I see it out and about, it's always banged up and looking like hell. So I'm not putting a banged up record in my collection. So one of these days we'll have that. Chicago 5, their first single album, 10 out of 10. Just amazing. State of the Union, dialogue, perfection. Chicago 6, their most underrated album. I love this album. Critics' Choice might be my favorite Chicago song. Chicago 7, back to the jazz fusion kind of stuff, but with some pop inflections so that they could see what was going on. They knew what the future was, and they embraced it with Chicago 8, the much maligned Chicago 8, which I actually really like. Harry Truman, Old Days, I think is a good record. Then they did Chicago 9 was a live album, or a greatest hits album, rather. Chicago 10, the Chocolate Bar album. Chicago 11, the Subway album, real good. Chicago 12, I hated it for years. Hot Streets, they did away with the Roman numerals. Terry Kath wasn't with us anymore, so I was all set to hate this thing. I was wrong. This is a good album, man. Alive Again opens this album out, and it never really lets go. It's a good record. I was wrong. Next up, Chicago 13, the disco album. I love it. I love it. I don't like disco, but I like it when Chicago tries their hand at doing kind of, dance music, whatever. Fantastic. And finally, The Fingerprint, Chicago 14. Really, really good. Then Chicago 15 was another greatest hits album. Anyway, let's see what else we got here from France. Thank you to George from Disques Plus Carrel for sending me Shovel Fou, which is French psych prog from the 70s. Really cool, fantastic album. Next up, my album of the year from 2023. It's the Chronicles of Father Robin box set. Yeah, all three books are in here. Just amazing. I love it. It's Andres from Wobbler and a bunch of guys from the Norwegian prog scene. Fantastic. Next up, little hardcore punk from the 80s. It's the Circle Jerks Group Sex, one of the best hardcore punk albums ever. I Just Want Some Skank, Beverly Hills. Oh, man. Live Fast, Die Young, Back Against the Wall, Deny, Everything Deny. Oh, yeah. From Italy, it's Città Frontale. I talked about this album recently. Very folk, prog, Italian vocals. Beautiful melodies, awesome stuff. Spin-off band from Osana, but I might like them even more than Osana. Next up, one of those bands that exists on the fringes. It's City Boy. And this is a Dinner at the Ritz. I like them. Are they prog? I don't know if they're prog or not, but I know they're really good. Okay, let's straighten out here. There we go. Grab a handful of records and keep talking. Hey, hell no. Vinyl flying everywhere over here today. Next up, I got Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah. Little indie band. Pitchfork went absolutely crazy about. Their first album's great. The second album, not so much. Oh, now we're getting into something awesome. The Clash. Boy, oh boy, do I love me some Clash. Their first album, 1977, changed my life. Yes, it did. The second album, produced by Sandy Pearlman. A little more of a rock album, a little more classic rock sounding, but very, very good. And then, of course, that leads the way to the classic double album, London Calling, released in 1979. So what do when you drop your masterpiece double album? You put out a triple album next, sure, why not? Sandinista, 6 sides of awesomeness, or the Clash proved that they can do any type of music, any genre of music they want to. And why not when you got a drummer as good as Topper Hedren, you can do whatever you want. Absolutely. Such a cool record. An unexpected release from a punk rock band, a triple album. Love it. Then they went all commercial with combat rock, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with this album. It's just not as good as the other stuff. Little 10-inch, the Black Market Clash. I love this thing, but I hate 10 inches, so I only have 2 in my entire collection. I have this one, and I have the Cold War Kids, Loyalty to Loyalty. I love Cold War Kids. If you like indie rock with a dude that sings like a chick. And then I've got Robbers and Cowards from Cold War Kids. My wife's a big fan. I enjoy them too. Dear Miss Lonely Hearts. Awesome record. And finally, they're the one with the big hit. This one's called Hold My Home. They've got like 5 albums since that came out. Anyway, Coldplay ended up in my collection because it was on sale for like $10 at Walmart. Yeah, I guess they're trying to expand their sound and be kind of sort of proggy on here. Poppycock, it's terrible. Another Christmas album from the world's greatest vocalist. Yes, he is the best singer that ever walked the face of the planet. It's Nat King Cole, and I'm not even kidding, man. I think he's amazing. Let's see. Let me organize here real quick. Sorry, guys. Oh, man. Okay. Let me just grab them all. That way they don't go flying around. This isn't working. Okay, I'll figure it out. By the time I get to the end of the alphabet, I'll have figured out a system for this. Next up, Phil Collins. Oh, yeah. 1981, Face Value. And then he followed that up in 82 with How Low I Must Be Going. And then a couple years later, No Jacket Required. There's nothing prog about these albums. They're just good pop albums. They really are. How about some Colosseum? For those about to rock. No, that's an AC/DC album. For those about to die, we salute you. This is the first Colosseum. I need the second one real bad. I need that real bad Valentine Suite. Somebody needs to hook a brother up. Colosseum 2. Electric Savage, reworked band. John Heisman recruits Gary Moore and Don Airy and some bass player. What's his name? John Mole, I think. Yeah, John Mole. Oh, this is great stuff. Jazzy prog, really great. Next up, UK neo-prog band that I adore. It's Comedy of Errors with the Threnody. Threnody for a Dead Queen. What a great album. I'm not a big neo-prog guy, but if you put out albums this good, I'll be changing my mind. Next up is a Greatest Hits album. I'm not a big Greatest Hits kind of guy, but if I know I'm not going to be buying anything else by an artist, yeah, Greatest Hits will work, and that's Elvis Costello. I like him. His music never moved me. I respect him. I always have, but whatever. Next up, Coven. Yeah, Blood on the Snow. Occult rock, fun stuff. Next up, this one's for Andy Edwards because we know how much he loves Crack the Sky. That's their debut album. Fantastic stuff. It's prog light, but it's awesome. Next up from Australia, it's Ben Craven and the Great and Terrible Potions. Yeah, his last album did not come out on vinyl. But that's all right. This one's an awesome album, and it's got the Roger Dean cover, so what else do you want? Crosby, Stills, and Nash. You know, gotta have it. It's amazing. And, of course, Deja Vu, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. Just kind of like obligatory records everyone needs to have. Here's a band I need a whole lot more from. This is a band with like 20 albums out, and I only have their debuts, so yeah, this is bugging me a little bit, but it's The Cure with Three Imaginary Boys. I love this band. I want to get all their albums because I'm a big Robert Smith fan. Yes, I am. And finally, a band that's putting out a new album in September, and I am really, really excited. It's Cursive, and this is their album Happy Hollow. Cursive is a band out of Omaha, Nebraska. They're kind of emo, kind of indie, but I find all kinds of progressive goodness in their music. This is a great one. The Ugly Organ's a great one. I Am Gemini is a great one. Check out Cursive if you haven't listened to their music already. I think you might like them. Anyway, that's the letter C, boys and girls. We'll do D in a couple weeks. You guys seem to be enjoying these. But anyway, I will be doing an album review of the new Collapse the Wave. And then I'm thinking about doing my wife's top 10 prog albums. Because believe it or not, there are a couple prog albums that my wife actually likes. So that might be kind of fun to do. Anyway, I love you guys. Peace in the Middle East. Free Tibet. And God save the king. Save King Chucky. Save that boy. Oh, man, that boy needs your save. That son of a gun. Bring that boy to America, and we'll lay some hands on him. And our prayer warriors, they're standing by 24/7. Yes, they are. And they're going to do all kinds of spells and incantations. Then we'll drink some poison. And then we're going to dance with them snakes. Oh, yeah, we're going to dance with them snakes, and nothing's going to hurt us, no, because we got the faith. I got the spirit. Yes, I do. I love you guys. Peace.